Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Are you a history buff who loves learning crazy stuff about the past? Buckle up, because today we're diving into mind-blowing historical facts that will have you saying, "Whoa, I never knew that." From surprising celebrity connections to ancient medical mysteries, we've got a wild ride through time in store for you. So grab your favorite snacks, settle in, and get ready to have your mind officially scrambled. Can you imagine a pig in jail? Well, in France, way back in 1386, that's exactly what happened. A pig attacked a child, and sadly, the child died from their injuries. Back then, people sometimes believed animals could be guilty of crimes, so this pig was arrested and put on trial just like a person. The pig even had its own jail cell. In court, the pig was found guilty and sentenced to the death penalty, hanging. The Great Depression was a terrible time when many people couldn't afford new clothes. But people are resourceful. They got creative and turned everyday things like flour sacks and potato sacks into clothes. These became so popular that the companies that made the sacks started making them in brighter colors and even with patterns. Suddenly, even though they were made from sacks, people could have a bit of fashion in tough times. In Victorian times, people dealt with death differently than we do today. Sometimes, when a loved one passed away, families would take photographs of them. They would carefully dress the deceased in their best clothes and pose them for a picture, almost as if they were still alive. This was a way for families to hold on to a final image of their loved one and to remember them in a special way. The war between Britain and Zanzibar is known as the shortest war in history, clocking in at a mere 38 minutes. It all happened in 1896 on the island of Zanzibar. Britain and Zanzibar couldn't agree on who should be the next sultan or king. Britain won the war quickly, taking control of Zanzibar. Can you imagine teams competing in a tug-of-war at the Olympics? Believe it or not, that was a real event back in the day. Tug-of-war was actually part of the Summer Olympic Games for a while, appearing in 5 different games between 1900 and 1920. It must have been quite the test of strength and teamwork. Britain turned out to be the most powerful pullers, winning the most medals in this unusual sport. The USA came in second with a respectable showing of 3 medals. The University of Oxford is no ordinary school. It boasts a history that stretches way back to 1096, when it first opened its doors to students. That means Oxford has been educating young minds for over 900 years. To put that in perspective, the mighty Aztec Empire, known for its impressive cities and culture, wasn't even founded until 1325 with the building of Tenochtitlan, so Oxford is seriously old school. Elizabeth Bathory, a countess from Hungary, holds the terrible title of the most famous female serial killer. History tells a horrifying tale of her torturing and killing over 650 young women, most of them tragically young girls between the ages of 10 and 14. Her crimes are a chilling reminder of the darkness that can exist in the world. Victory in World War II was a cause for immense celebration in Russia. The entire Soviet Union erupted in joyous street parties that lasted for days on end. People were so excited that they completely underestimated the amount of vodka needed for such a momentous occasion. The party came to a screeching halt a mere 22 hours in, when the entire country's vodka reserves were depleted. Talk about running out of fuel for the celebration. The Medals of Honor, awarded to America's bravest soldiers, have a long and proud tradition. The very first ones were presented during the American Civil War. In 1862, a daring mission known as the Great Locomotive Chase saw a group of Union soldiers attempt to capture a Confederate train. Their bravery in this raid earned them the very first Medals of Honor. Did Did you know that the tall and lanky President Abraham Lincoln was once a champion wrestler? Standing at an impressive 6'4", Lincoln was a force to be reckoned with in the wrestling ring back in his younger days. He even has a spot in the Wrestling Hall of Fame thanks to his amazing record, only one loss out of a whopping 300 matches. Imagine President Lincoln throwing his opponent around the ring. After serving as president, George Washington decided to put his hand to a new venture, making whiskey. He opened his own distillery, and by 1799 it had become the biggest distillery in the entire country. Washington's distillery produced a staggering 11,000 gallons of whiskey a year, which sounds like a lot, and for your health it probably was. Even though they're called witch trials, the Salem witch trials in 1692 didn't actually involve burning people at the stake. That's a common misconception. While the accusations were terrifying and many people were wrongly accused, the punishments were mostly jail time. Sadly, some people were even hanged. Thankfully, out of the roughly 2,000 people accused of witchcraft, none were burned alive. President Zachary Taylor's death in 1850 is a strange one. It all happened on a seemingly harmless Independence Day celebration. President Taylor ate a ton of cherries and then followed it up with a glass of milk. Unfortunately, some folks believe that cherries and milk don't mix well, and it made him very sick. He died just a few days later from a digestive illness. President Andrew Jackson had a unique pet, a parrot, but this wasn't your average squawking parrot. Andrew apparently taught his parrot, Polly, how to swear like a sailor. There's even a story that Polly got kicked out of Andrew Jackson's funeral because it wouldn't stop swearing in front of everyone. The tasty brunch drink, the Bloody Mary, has a surprisingly gory name. But believe it or not, it wasn't always called that. When it was first invented, it had a much less appetizing name, a bucket of blood. Over time, people must have decided that name wasn't very appealing, so it went through a couple of changes before finally settling on the now famous Bloody Mary. During the fierce battles of World War II, a Great Dane named Juliana proved to be a real hero. One terrifying night, a bomb fell from the sky and started a fire, but Juliana, brave as can be, sprang into action. She ran right up to the burning bomb and used her incredible aim to pee on it, putting out the flames and saving lives. For her bravery, Juliana was even awarded a special medal, the Blue Cross Medal, for her service. Alexander the Great was a mighty warrior king, but the details surrounding his death are a bit mysterious. Scientists believe he might have suffered from a rare illness called Guillain-Barré syndrome. This condition can cause temporary paralysis and make someone appear dead, even though they're still conscious. So it's possible that Alexander wasn't actually dead when he was buried, but tragically paralyzed and unable to communicate. Ancient Rome is famous for its gladiatorial battles, but did you know there were even female fighters? These courageous women were called gladiatrices and were just as skilled and deadly as their male counterparts. However, unlike the male gladiators who fought frequently, female gladiatorial battles were much rarer and considered a special spectacle. Forget the stereotypical pirate captain with a peg leg and an eye patch. Qing Shi's story is far more fascinating. She started out as a worker in China, but life took an unexpected turn when she married the powerful leader of a pirate fleet. Her husband, recognizing her intelligence and leadership skills, treated her as an equal. After his death, Qing Shi took full command of the fleet and became one of the most successful pirates in history, ruling over thousands of fearsome pirates. The name Avengers might conjure up images of superheroes in movies, but there was also a real-life group called the Avengers after World War II. This wasn't a team with superpowers, but a group of determined individuals dedicated to finding and bringing Nazi war criminals to justice. They tracked down Nazis who had escaped punishment and ensured they faced the consequences of their horrific actions. Their work, while not as flashy as superheroes, played a vital role in bringing closure to the victims of the war. Believe it or not, the Olympics weren't always just about athletic competitions. For a period between 1912 and 1948, the Olympics even included competitions for different art forms. Artists from all over the world competed for medals by creating paintings, sculptures, and even music. Of course, all the artwork had to be inspired by the Olympic spirit and ideals of sportsmanship and athletic excellence. Napoleon Bonaparte was a powerful emperor known for his strategic military mind. But even the mightiest leaders can face unexpected challenges. One day, Napoleon decided to go on a rabbit hunt for some recreation. When the rabbits were released from their cages, everyone expected them to scatter and be easy targets. But to everyone's surprise, the rabbits decided to fight back. In a hilarious turn of events, the rabbits charged right at Napoleon and his soldiers in a relentless furry wave, leaving them bewildered and frustrated. This unexpected bunny rebellion became a story that continues to be told even today. Believe it or not, even though Cleopatra is known as the famous Queen of Egypt, she wasn't actually Egyptian. Historians say she was actually Greek. Her family line goes back to a famous Greek general named Ptolemy, who worked for Alexander the Great. Ketchup is a tasty tomato sauce we love on fries today, but did you know it used to be sold as medicine? Back in the 1830s, a doctor named John Cook from Ohio thought ketchup could cure upset stomachs. It wasn't until much later in the late 1800s that people started using it as a condiment. Wow, that was an amazing tour through history, wasn't it? Hopefully you learned a bunch of awesome facts you can share with your friends. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments which fact surprised you the most and what era of history you'd like to explore next time. Thanks for joining me on this historical adventure, and see you next time.